YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. As you know, on my channel, I love to educate you about the special needs and disability community. Today, I decided it would be awesome to interview a sibling of a child with special needs. So this is my daughter, Lillian, my oldest daughter.
Hi.
And she is the oldest of 5 kids. Noelle is one of our middle children. But I just thought it'd be awesome for you guys to hear Lillian's perspective of life with having a sister with special needs. What is your first memory of being in the hospital, and what do you remember about that?
To be honest with you, I was kind of scared because Noelle is like literally the sweetest girl you ever meet, and so to see her have to go into the hospital is a scary thing, and you don't know if she's going to come out or not, especially when you're that little and you see one of your siblings have to go in the hospital. Get flown off into a helicopter to the hospital. That was pretty intense and scary because I didn't know what was going to happen or whatever. So when we got there, we didn't get to see her for a while, but then.
So yeah, that story was Noelle was actually about 6 or 7 years old, and at the time she had a PICC line because she was eating all of her food through her IV. She could not eat anything through her stomach. They thought that her stomach was not working, so they thought she needed a stomach transplant. So she actually was on IV nutrition, and she ended up getting a blood infection, which is terrible and made her super sick. So I was actually driving her down to Children's Hospital. We live north of Children's Hospital, so I was driving her down, and on the way she started to get so bad that I had to pull off at a campus that was closer to us and go in, and I knew that she needed to be taken by ambulance, so I had already told my husband, who was driving down following us, I said, you know, Noelle is going to need to ride in an ambulance. I'll ride with her. You just take Lily and Lana into the hospital. Well, little did we know, but she was so sick that by the time we got there, they actually called a flight for life helicopter, and the helicopter left and took her there. So me, Lily, Landon, and Dustin all sat and watched Noelle get taken away in a helicopter, and then Lily and I drove in the car as fast as we could, with, safely, to Children's Hospital, going after her. So that's a story that Lily is sharing about, and that hospitalization actually ended up being one of the scariest because Noelle got the sickest, and we ended up being gone for a really long time. I think we were in and out of the hospital off and on for 2 months straight, and so as a sibling, you were just basically at home because you couldn't come and see her. So tell them how that made you feel as a sibling.
For anybody who has a sibling at all, you always, even if you don't like them, you always have this attachment to them, and you always feel an empty part in you if they're not in your life, because it's just that loving heart in you. When I was at home, I'd always be thinking about her, I'd always be praying for her, and I didn't know what was really going on because I wasn't able to understand, but I was hopeful that she was going to be able to get out someday, and I was hoping that I'd be able to see her, but I did miss her a lot, and it was hard because the home felt like empty without her.
Yeah, because basically we go from being a family to then Noelle was in the hospital and just I was gone, and Lily and Landon were home alone, or not alone, but they were getting taken care of by grandma or auntie or something, which is great to have family around, but when you have your immediate family just all of a sudden broken up and you just have to kind of scrounge and make things work, it's very hard on everybody involved. So Lily's definitely always grown up with that. Thankfully, Noelle hasn't been in the hospital in the last 6 years, so we've never had to experience that with our other 2 kiddos. Bo and Macy, they've never experienced what being in the hospital with Noelle would even be like, which is a huge blessing. Which takes me now to nowadays, Lily, what is your I guess there's some things that kids with siblings with special needs that's kind of common things that they struggle with, and one of them is the need to be perfect. Do you think that you struggle with that, and why?
Yes, I do, because I see that she is always so joyful even in her condition, and that makes me feel like I need to be joyful and perfect all the time, because sometimes if you see what she's going through and all that, and she's still smiling, and I'm having a moment, I feel like I need to be perfect and joyful like she is, because if not, then...
And with that, do you feel like that you have to minimize the struggles or the problems in your life in comparison to the struggles that she faces?
Yeah, so I definitely think that when I have a problem or an issue, I have to get over it, because Noelle is going through a lot more than me, and I definitely feel like sometimes I have to live up to the expectations of being perfect and having to get over my problems and focus on what Noelle's problems are.
All right, another question is, do you ever feel isolated as a sibling of a sister who's in a wheelchair and lives on a ventilator and has a trach and has nurses in her house almost 24 hours a day, do you ever feel a little bit isolated?
I do. So usually most of my friends just can go off and do stuff, or they can go and just like have fun as a family. And with Noelle, it's hard because she can't do everything that everybody else can do. So we have to limit what we can do to what she can do. And sometimes that can be hard because if my friends and their family are going off to do something else and they invite us, we can't go because Noelle can't do that thing. And so sometimes it isolates us from being with people. And even just having somebody in the house all the time can be difficult. It's definitely a big blessing to have someone taking care of Noelle, but it's definitely hard when you feel like you can't express your feelings or be yourself fully because someone else is always watching.
Okay, Lily, so what is one of the biggest lessons you've learned from being Noelle's sister?
She has taught me to stand up for other people because obviously, if you have a sibling and someone's picking on them or something, you feel the urge to stand up for them. Well, my special needs sister, if someone's staring at them, I don't like that, and it makes me feel angry at them, and sometimes I do want to yell at them, but that's not fair because they don't know. So I can't say anything about that. I am able to talk to them and tell them like, hey, what's your name? And I can be able to share Noelle's story and be able to share with them what she does every day and how she's mentally there but how she's different. But she's mostly helped me get over my fear of talking to people about her because, for one, you have taught me the dignity of notice and helping to ask questions, and not only to ask questions, but for me to be able to tell them about her. So I can, if someone else needs help, I can help them because I can express because I have a sister.
So Lily, as most people feel about their siblings, there's often a little bit of resentment or frustration towards your sibling, right? And it's true even when you have a sibling with special needs, right? Would you mind sharing about that a little bit?
So as joyful as Noelle is, she can be very sassy. And she's also becoming a teenager. And I'm also a teenager. So with two teenage girls in the house, I'm sure she can express that we can be kind of snappy at each other. So Noelle, when she's sassy, she can get mad and storm off. Or she can decide to run you over, you know. Either one.
Lily, even though you know that Noelle has limitations and can't do things, what are some of the things around the house that you can even resent her for?
Chores. So I know she can't walk, but she doesn't have to do chores a single day in her life. She never does the dishes, which she can't. She never does the laundry, which I guess she can't. But as a sibling, you know, it's just one of those things where you have to do the chores and she doesn't. So it's just a little, you know, frustrating at times.
Thanks for your honesty, Lily. I know me. I didn't grow up with a, sibling with special needs or disability, so I can't speak for how it must feel. So thank you for being honest and helping us understand that, because most of us don't know. So the last thing that I just want to ask you about is, what do you wish other people knew about your sister? Your friends at school or, the people on the street. I wish people knew about your sister.
I wish people knew how strong she is and what a person she is, because sometimes people feel bad for her or they feel like they need to talk to her differently with like a different tone, but she's just like us. So I feel like if people just talk to her like a normal person, like instead of saying, oh, hi, how are you, just being like, hi, how are you, like they would any other person.
Awesome, Lily. Well, thank you so much for just being vulnerable and open and honest with us. And granted, that was just a few questions. Maybe I'll even do another interview with her and ask her even more questions. And if you guys have any questions that you would love answered by either one of us, you can post them below and we would love to answer them for you. So thanks for watching this video and we look forward to seeing you next time. Bye, guys.